Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to DLC Podcast. My name is Riad and I'm with
Michael.
And today we are going to be talking about emulation and how emulation works. So starting off with emulation, Michael, what is emulation?
Emulation is just simply a hardware or software that enables your computer system to behave like another's.
So what can emulation be used for?
You can use emulators to play classic video games on your computer or phone, and by doing this, you can play games from systems like the NES, SNES, Sega Genesis, N64, and even some of the old PlayStation or Xbox consoles.
Cool. So what are some notable emulators out there?
Notable emulators that are known by a lot of people are the Dolphin emulator that lets you play GameCube or Wii games on your computer, RetroArch, which allows you to play games on classic Nintendo and Sega consoles on your computer, and mobile. And then there's PPSSPP, which lets you play PlayStation and portable games on PC, mobile, and even modern consoles like the Nintendo Switch.
Are emulators legal? It seems like you're just pirating old games for free.
So emulations and playing those games in general are actually legal as long as you actually have the original copy of the game. More importantly, you play these games on an emulator using something known as a ROM. However, playing pirated games on an emulator is actually illegal.
Interesting. What exactly is a ROM?
So ROM stands for ROM, or read-only memory, which is basically a memory file that stores a copy of the game's code, opening it into the emulator, which lets you play those games off of your computer or whatever device you're using it on. The emulator uses these ROM files to simulate the hardware of the game's console.
Can you explain an example of how the emulator simulates the hardware of the console your ROM game was originally from?
Basically, if you have a ROM file for Super Mario 64 that was originally released on the Nintendo 64, it has all the game's code and data, right? Therefore, inserting into the emulator allows the emulator to act like a Nintendo 64. And if the emulator supports that console, it's able to run the game.
Wow, that's really interesting. But anyways, I'm pretty sure that's just about enough time that we have to talk about for today about emulation. If you want us to talk about more about emulation, let us know. Thanks for watching.